Okay, who are you and why are you here?
Hello, my name is Lawrence Sherman. My friends call me Larry. I've been at the Met Police for a bit over a year, and that was after 15 great years in teaching future police constables at the Cambridge Police Executive Program, which has a strong curriculum focused on evidence-based policing. And one of the people who took that curriculum early in the 15 years, was Alex Murray, who in the city of Coventry took a walk with me and Heather Strang, my colleague and wife, one day in the summer of 2010 and decided, let's form a society for evidence-based policing. So that's what this event comes out of, coming back to Coventry or near Coventry to where it all started. What I'm going to talk about today is a new tool, I think a major step forward in evidence-based policing on the scale of the triple T for targeting, testing, and tracking. And it's based on work that was prompted on me by Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley of the Met, who has an undergraduate degree in mathematics and is very sympathetic to policing that tries to achieve precision, because the scarcity of resources means that we can't deal with every case, certainly not with equal resource investment, and we need to do the best we can with what we have. So by far the most appropriate way to manage police resources is to make sure that we're not over investing resources in cases that are not all that harmful, and more important, to make sure we don't underinvest in cases that are extremely harmful and indeed preventable. So as a general strategy for preventing the most harm we can with the numbers of people we have, Mark Rowley has suggested that we start with violence against women and girls and answer the question of who are the most dangerous men in London at any given time, who are predators against women and girls. And if we can answer that question by the level of resources we could probably invest in the 100 most dangerous men, we have what might be a model for a wide range of offenses. So I'm going to be talking today about how, when you stack the harm level from the Cambridge Crime Harm Index of any group of offenders in any category, or indeed victims and even places, but when you use stacking rather than just a red, yellow, green tripartite classification, you get to some very different results. They mainly have to do with resources. It's unlikely that at any given time any police force is going to be able to handle more than 100 high priority offenders in terms of getting them off the streets, because they might be committing offenses that could attract 10 or 20 or 30 years of imprisonment. But those people are extremely rare in the population, and a red, yellow, green risk classification doesn't identify them in a way that a stacking approach can identify them. So what I'm doing today at the conference is to try to describe the way in which a top 100 policing approach, which is driven by resources, which is where we really start in policing. Who do we have to work today, and what are they going to do? And that is a question that evidence-based policing can provide much more precise guidance in answering than any of the methods that we use at present. So I'm hoping that the work that comes out of this, and indeed a scientific article that we're working on at the Met, will help you, if you're watching this, and others, to understand what the plan is when you say, let's go after the top 100 property offenders who are ripping off stores in this mass crisis of shoplifting, for example, or the top 100 misconduct suspects in a large police force with thousands of officers, the top 100 people who are committing crimes against young men and stabbing them and killing them. And it's generally other young men, but we've had controversies over how indeed we prioritize within that group. Controversies that I think that it can be settled by letting the victims and their associates identify the suspects, if they will. And they're more likely to do it in crimes against women and girls than with men. But nonetheless, there are ways that we can use the top 100 strategy right across the work of policing. And the best news is we can compare it to the next 100 where we don't have the resources, but they're almost just as bad. And we can't do any more than the 100 we have. So we then say, well, what difference did it make with the top 100 compared to the second 100? The result of that is that you can start counting on a monthly basis, not just how much crime you've had, but how much crime you've prevented and how much crime harm you've prevented. And that gives us, for the first time, a very solid evidence base for talking about the cost effectiveness of investments in policing. If we had this many more officers, we could prevent this much more harm. Now, people have a lot of theories about that, but they haven't had much evidence. That's why you come to a Society for Evidence-Based Policing conference, to not only learn about the evidence, but to learn how to create evidence that's based on your own local data and that can help your own local decision making. Good luck to you all.
And if I can ask as well, where do you see the future of evidence-based policing? What kind of morphing, shaping do you think it will be doing in the future?
Evidence-based policing is growing every day. It's making better use of digital tools that are available. One thing I hope it will do is to help redesign the next generation of data collection systems, since most police forces are operating electronic file cabinets and haven't even asked the data engineers to design the system around the uses of the data and targeting, testing, and tracking. But the better the data get and the better the thinking gets, the better the policing is going to get. And I think the 25th birthday of evidence-based policing, which I'm celebrating today, one of my slides has a a cake with 25 candles on it, which tells us that we've come a long way in 25 years, when people in policing were very skeptical about any research having any value at all in something that depends very much on skill. Well, the skill is still important. It hasn't gone away, but it's still more useful to have highly skilled officers doing some things rather than others. And it's that first T of targeting in the targeting, testing, and tracking formula that we can get better and better at. And that's what Top 100 Policing can do for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, where do I look for this?